Well, time now for the press review. Sharon Gaffney here to take us through some of the headlines grabbing attention around the world. Hello to you, Sharon. Starting today with the deaths of at least 6 people during protests in Lebanon.
Yes, and many references to the country's bloody civil war that ended more than 3 decades ago. We'll start by looking at some domestic coverage, and the Lebanese daily L'Orient Le Jour says the deadly attack on demonstrators recalls the demons of that conflict. The paper places the blame for the violence on Hezbollah. You can see a man described as a militia fighter on the ground there reloading his weapon in the second photograph on the front page there. A little bit of editorial, I think we can say. You can see in the picture above there's a Lebanese soldier who's sheltering a young girl, helping to take her to safety following the violence at that demonstration. Now the paper asks if the militant group Hezbollah has succeeded in its aim of showing its muscle amid growing opposition to its methods. Turning now to the Washington Post, it says the current bloodshed evokes memories of Lebanon's civil war and threatens to plunge the fragile nation back into factional violence. The paper says the deadly firefight could be the last straw for the country, which is already mired in an economic crisis and struggling under a dysfunctional political system.
And here in France, Saturday marks the first anniversary of the murder of schoolteacher Samuel Paty, tributes beginning already today.
And he was killed Saturday, this October 16th, in a suburb just outside Paris after showing his students a caricature of the Prophet Muhammad. He's being remembered on many of the front pages here in France today. The conservative Le Figaro says France is still in shock over the murder. It says that paying tribute to the 47-year-old teacher isn't enough at this stage and that lessons need to be learned. It says the time now is to act and that those who spit on France, as it says, must be severely reprimanded. There's a more hopeful message, I think we could say, in the left-wing Libération, which says the bond that unites teachers is now stronger than ever. La plus belle arme, it says, the best weapon against terrorism.
Let's turn now to the United States and a new controversial law coming into force in the state of Texas.
Well, schools in Texas are being told they must provide students with diverse viewpoints if teachers are discussing widely debated and controversial issues. According to The Guardian, district officials are informing some schools that the law also controversially applies to the Holocaust. The guidance has understandably prompted a fierce backlash, with the school being accused of Holocaust denial.
And switching on now to the ongoing fallout over Brexit.
Another front page warning from the Financial Times. It says several EU member states are pushing Brussels to prepare for a trade war with the UK, Germany, France and the Netherlands, among those calling for tough retaliatory measures if the British government goes ahead with its threat to tear up the Northern Ireland Protocol. Now, the protocol is literally being shredded in this cartoon, I think we can see in The Independent. The British Prime Minister, or a Boris Johnson version of Pinocchio, is perched on a roadside there, not at the border on the island of Ireland, but at the frontier to the much maligned perfidious Albion. Elsewhere, Boris is in a duel with his French counterpart over what's being dubbed the sausage wars, another reference to Brexit. Emmanuel Macron there armed with a fish rather than a sausage as he defends the protocol. There's a very striking image, I think we could say, of Macron doing the rounds in the French papers today. Some might say, sadly, this is not a cartoon. He's been showing off his football skills at a charity match just outside Paris, taking a penalty that helped his side to a 6-1 victory over their opponents. La République en crampons is the headline, noting that he is the first sitting French president to win a duel while togged out in football boots.
Okay, well, finally for now, many of us have gotten used to binge watching our favorite TV shows since the pandemic. Sharon, you found what could be the perfect job for budding and more experienced couch potatoes.
Well, only die-hard fans need apply. A website in the UK is seeking a series analyst who'll be tasked with watching every single episode of The Simpsons. That's a lot of TV viewing, with 33 seasons and more than 700 episodes. It's the longest running animated TV show in US history. So the lucky viewer, or unlucky, depending on your viewpoint there, will be paid almost $8,000 to watch The Simpsons. So if you want to apply, you don't need any experience. You don't need anything other than a love of The Simpsons. You'll have to watch 35 hours of the show each week.
All right. Thank you very much, Sharon. Sharon Gaffney with a roundup of what's making headlines.